I'm 50% Palestinian, 50% European, but I grew up in a multi-generational Arab house, basically. My grandparents, my grandfather who came over from Ramallah, and my grandmother lived with us, and kind of as a big family with my brother, my mom and dad and I, we were just a big Middle Eastern family. Growing up, my feelings around Israel were never really defined explicitly, but there was this undercurrent of really anti-Semitism that I didn't even realize I was being exposed to until much later. I knew that my grandfather was the first in his lineage, which dates back to 1500 in Ramallah. I'd often hear him talk about the Yehuda this or darn Yehuda that, or use disparaging language around Jews, and I began to believe, and I'm not sure why, I just accepted that there was this group of people that were enemies to my family, enemies to my heritage. My grandfather and grandmother culturally Christian Arabs. They come from a long line of Christians, but I knew that there was an enemy to my family, and they were the Jews, and I identified with being a Palestinian. When we talked about the old country, I felt connected to my grandma, to my mom, to my uncles in a way that was really strong in our cultural identity. And part of that was just accepting that we had an enemy, and I didn't really know why. As I kind of got deeper into my faith, and I was actually experiencing a connection with the living Jesus, like an experiential, healing in my life was changing. I got really serious about reading the Bible and just reading the whole Bible too, and not just a couple snippets in the Psalms and a couple bits in the New Testament, but actually trying to put my head and my heart around the whole story of the Bible. I kept hitting these barriers where it was God's people, the children of Israel, the Israelites, the Hebrews, and it was just dissonant with this belief I had in my identity as this Palestinian Christian guy. And I couldn't reconcile. I couldn't grasp why God chose these people. Why are they so special? They've taken away my grandfather's land and we can't ever go there again. It was really, really a wrestle for me. And then one day I got invited to, a talk. Somebody's going to talk about Israel in the Bible. John Myers opens up this Bible, Romans 11, and starts teaching basically right where I was wrestling in my car in the parking lot, and teaching in a way that all of a sudden things were making sense. Things started to actually make sense to me. I actually saw that God was sovereign. He'd chosen his people, and he'd chosen to bring up the Messiah through his people. To see that as one story for the first time, it just opened up a breakthrough in my life. It led me to repentance. It led me to rethink the things I believed about Jewish people. And I saw them as my brothers and sisters. I saw them as God's chosen people. And I chose to turn from the things that I believed culturally as a Palestinian American. I chose to forgive. I chose to ask for forgiveness from God for having such a negative outlook. I repented on behalf of my family and my ancestors who've had anti-Semitic sentiment maybe for millennia. I don't know. Israel's story was really a catalyst in this breakthrough that happened. Hearing John's teaching, connecting the whole Bible with the story of the people of Israel, with the story of the Messiah, and with the story of the church now, and seeing that through line has become fundamental in my faith. It's not a piecemeal-y faith. It's there's one story, there's one Messiah, there's one people that are telling the story. And the Israel story really brought focus to something that the church I was exposed to as a kid never quite taught or got me into, or God's story from the very beginning is playing out before our eyes in a really beautiful way, and in a way that I hadn't seen before, and it brings me closer to Jesus.